Greetings comic book fans, I'm Jason and welcome to the Dude Cave. What you are watching right here is Comics of the Week. This is my weekly video where I share with you the 5 books I enjoyed the most this week and give each book a review. The weeks where I've got time, I'll also be going through the rest of my books with a rapid fire roundup where I briefly give my opinions on each book and give each book a score out of 5 stars. And now before we move on to the reviews this week, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a big thank you to everyone who took the time to leave a comment on my last video. I started doing this, as I've said before, because I don't have no one in real life to share my comic book opinions with. I don't know any other comic book fans, so it was a super surprise to kind of, when I get all these emails saying I've got these comments on my video, and to see the wonderful comments that people left. I just don't have the words to express how wonderful it was. I really appreciate it, and I just wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to everyone who took the time to put comments on my video. Thank you. So that done, it's time to ready, aim, fire. It's time for the rapid fire roundup. So here we are with the rapid fire roundup. We got 16 books to blast through this week. First, before we go, I'm just going to explain my scoring system. I do it out of 5 stars. If a book gets 5 stars, it means there's nothing in here that I disliked. I enjoyed the whole book. It was wonderful. 4 stars is that I still really enjoyed the book, but there were a couple of bad points to it. 3 stars is, oh god, I've lost the ability to count. 3 stars, and the book has got equally good and bad. It's still a good book. I still enjoyed it, but there's equal good and bad to the book. 2 stars is that there's a lot more bad than good in this book, and 1 star is just avoid like the clap. So that is how my scoring system goes. So without further ado, let's get into these books. The first book is from a few months ago, but I've only just got around to reading it. It is Weird World, issue number 2. I really enjoyed this. Mike Delmundo's art is just wonderful. There's this whole sequence with the sand sharks, and when it pops up out of the ground, just wonderful. Really loved it. It follows the adventures of Becca, who has landed, her plane crashed in Weird World. She's the only one who survived. She was on her way with her mom's ashes to lay her mom to rest, and so she's got a lot of stuff that's already going on, because it's a difficult time for her. Now she's stuck in Weird World. She meets Galetta, the wizard slayer, who hates wizards and enjoys slaying them. And she says that she enjoys it too, so that she doesn't kill her. And she's now the squire to Galetta, and they're travelling. And things ain't going well for Becca, as she's really struggling to adapt to life in Weird World. I really enjoyed this. I think they do a great job of making Becca a really likeable character, and you instantly kind of empathise with her and are interested in what happens to her. And I think that's a very important thing for any book to kind of master, and they do that, particularly when it's a new character. I think it's even more difficult than if it's a character you already go into knowing. So yeah, I thought this was really good. I really enjoyed it. Like I say, Mike Delmundo's art is wonderful, and I'm really interested in where this story is going, and I'd give Weird World issue number 2 5 stars out of 5. Next up, now the rest of these books are this week's books, or last week you could say. We have Extraordinary X-Men issue number 8. This kicks off the Apocalypse Wars, which is the new X-Men crossover. I kind of still feel it's a bit too soon for an X-Men crossover, because I feel that each book's kind of just finding its identity, and that the stories that are going on in each book are going to get interrupted for this crossover. So I kind of, part of me, but I also understand the business end of things, and that they kind of want to tie things into Apocalypse with the movie coming out, and kind of want to make money off of that. With that, if people go to pick up an X-Men book, that they've got characters they recognise from the movie. So I can understand business-wise why they do it, but creatively, I feel it's coming at a bad time. It has a classic feel to me, because I like the lineup of the team. I think they're really cool, and I think the best moments of this book are the moments between characters. I think that's the bit that works the best. It does have a good ending, but overall, yeah, I enjoyed this, and I'd give Extraordinary X-Men issue number 8 4 stars out of 5. Next up, we have International Ironman issue number 1. I really liked this. It kind of follows Tony when he's in uni. We start off in the modern day, but then we jump back 20 years to he's in uni. So I really liked that, and because it's a kind of a time in Tony's life we've not really explored that much. and it kind of, the way the story goes, it kind of at the end we jump back into the present day, and it kind of everything connects up, which I liked. While the issue doesn't blow your socks off, it does do enough to kind of make you want to know what happened next, which is the first battle. Every book should make you want to come back for the next issue, and this book does that well with an intriguing story. One little nitpick with it was that I didn't, there's this, when the scene in the past, and there's this kid with a smartphone, and his dad tells him to come off his phone, and it's like, we didn't have smartphones 20 years ago, and I'm like, so that was one bit, maybe a bit of a gripe that, I don't know, maybe that's a bit picky by me, but it did take me out of the story a bit. The art here by Alex Maleev I really enjoyed, and the book has a look and a feel that's totally different from the other Iron Man book, which I liked as well, because I think if you're going to have more than one book on a character, they need to be doing something different, and this does that. And so I'd give International Iron Man issue number 1 4 stars out of 5. Next up we have Deadpool, the Mercs for Money, issue number 2. Deadpool and his Mercs, they did this job, but the person who paid them ended up getting killed, so now they not only got paid for the job, but they've also got what they stole, which was this robot, the Vigilian Recorder I think it was called, and he can predict the future, so they're trying to sell him to all these different super villains. So you have the Mercs for Money all split up, seeing these people. You're also having all these criminals kind of, now that they know that Deadpool's got this robot, they're all hiring different people. So we see Taskmaster gets hired, we see Lord Deathstrike gets hired, we see Crossfire, we see Puma, all these different assassins kind of getting hired, and Taskmaster is particularly pleased that if he has any job that wants him to kill Deadpool, he's really pleased with. I like the main thrust of the story, seeing the different members of the Mercs split up and negotiating, though there was a lot of great moments in the book, funny moments, and I really enjoyed it from start to finish, and I'm really intrigued where we're going to go next. And kind of, we have a battle, Taskmaster battling somebody at the end of the book. They're kind of teasing for next issue, so that was cool. Like I say, I really enjoyed this, and a month into my Deadpool fever, I'm still enjoying all the Deadpool stuff I'm reading, and I give Deadpool the Mercs for Money, issue number 2, 5 stars out of 5. Next up we have Batman and Robin Eternal, issue number 24. The last 2 issues have been really good and I've really enjoyed, but this kind of went back to like where we were before those 2 issues, where the book was like, I was enjoying it, but it was frustrating me in equal measure. And this issue, there's a lot of things I hated in this issue. One thing, it's a global crisis, what's going on here. So where's the Justice League? Where's the Teen Titans? Where's Firestorm? Where's the Metal Men? Where, all these other heroes from the DC Universe, where are they? This is a global crisis. It's not just for the Bat Kids and the Bat family to deal with. And I kind of feel that the book's gone too big. I like the idea that it's a celebration of the Robins, so Dick Grayson is front and centre as the original Robin, and then it's the Robins who are going to save the day. I like that, and I really do. But I think they should have just had it be in Gotham, that Mother's going to have Gotham as the test ground, and once she's destroyed Gotham, she's going to go to the rest of the world. I would have liked that, because then you could kind of believe that only the Gotham kind of heroes would be there. Where with it being the world, and it's kind of like, well, where's the other heroes? You know, where are they? And that kind of bugged me. Also, Dick Grayson here, it's like 3 issues, all the others have been fighting, all these kids. And Grayson's been trying to get somewhere, and he hasn't even got there yet. And then Azrael turns up, and he decides to start fighting with Azrael, even though they both want to take down Mother. Yeah, argue with how you're going to do it later. You know, he wants to kill Mother, Grayson wants to take her so that she can stand trial for what she's done. Argue about that later. Stop Mother first, then decide what you're going to do with her and fight over it. But it didn't seem smart that Dick, like, Mother's still doing her evil plan, and instead of trying to stop her, Dick is fighting Azrael, who wants to do the same thing except a different method. So I didn't understand that. I think the moments I enjoyed the most were the moments between Mother and Harper Row. There was very much a kind of element of like Star Wars with Return of the Jedi, where the Emperor is trying to tempt Luke to the dark side, and there was very much that same kind of dynamic going on with Mother and Harper Row. So I really enjoyed those moments, even though like he could argue like, why doesn't Harper Row kill her, because she's the one who ordered her mom to be killed. But like, even so, I think Harper, more at where she's at, sees that it was Cassandra that did it. But I liked as well that we get no kind of dialogue or inner monologue from Harper, and it's kind of a like total mystery where her head is at the moment. So I liked that as well. like I say, this book thrilled me and frustrated me in equal measure, so I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5. We then have all new X-Men issue number 6. I enjoyed all the inner monologues here as they're battling the Blob. I found those enjoyable. However, it did slow the story down, so it kind of was a blessing and a curse. I really like the Angel stuff and the Iceman stuff this issue, but also in the whole, I like how the young X-Men have been written in that, like, you know, Cyclops sees the person that he becomes. Beast sees what the mistakes his future self does. Angel sees what happens to him and the darkness that he's got within him. And Iceman, you're kind of dealing with that, the fact that he's gay, but his older self never came out. So, like, they're all dealing with in different ways, different stuff, for the seeing where their future selves end up, and kind of trying to reconcile their life choices with who they are now. So I kind of like that journey. I'm liking the budding friendship between ID and Iceman. I think that that's really cool. And I like the stuff here with Angel, and kind of, I'm interested to see where him and Wolverine are going to go now, and that relationship. Is she going to, now she's seen that, yeah, he can get me, he's got that darkness too, he can get me. Is she going to let him in more and kind of stop being how she's been? Or are they just kind of going to be, is Angel just going to be like, ignore them now? So, because it could be a bit awkward to have them both on the team. The battle with the Blob, it gets finished, and I like how they end it up. And we've got the mystery of what happened to Cyclops. So yeah, Bagley's art, I feel, one of my favourite artists. I feel it's for what he does. I think this is probably some of the best Bagley stuff we've seen for a while. So I'd give all new X-Men issue number 6, I'd give it 4 stars out of 5. Then we have Squadron Supreme issue 5, which was tremendous. We're in Weird World, and Dr. Druid has taken things over. So Thundress took the Squadron Supreme there to kind of help save the day. I liked the story. It was kind of over quick, but at the same time I liked that because kind of it was, though they defeated Druid, it kind of had Druid that there's a bigger plan in mind from him, and kind of this is just one step in that bigger overall plan. So I like that idea. Also the fact that you've got this loose end of Warrior Woman, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm liking the budding friendship between Nighthawk and Blur. That's really cool. I like the fact that the whole reason why Hyperion's powers wouldn't work here was because of magic, which kind of very much like Superman, who Hyperion basically is. And I also like that Thunder's sticking around, kind of not so much to help the team, but to keep an eye on them. So there's a lot of aspects I'm liking about what's going on here and what James Robertson's doing. James Robertson's a writer. When he does a series like this, he's very kind of makes his plans forward planning wise, and he's very good like that. So I'm really interested to see where he's going to go with this, and I've really been enjoying this so far. And yeah, Squadron Supreme issue 5 gets a 5 out of 5 from me. Really enjoyed it. We then get the Superman, the Coming of the Superman, issue number 2. This was another really good book. I can understand if you didn't read Superman in the 90s, you may not enjoy this. But for me, there was a big nostalgia to reading this. I also love the name Calabac, so I'm loving that he's in the book because I get to say his name a lot. Calabac, I love that word. The one moment here I didn't quite get was where Superman freaks out at Lex Luthor. That I didn't quite get. It just seemed a bit uncharacteristic. But I enjoyed the heck out of this book. It was a lot of fun. Loads happening. At the end of it, I've got loads of questions, and I'm eager for the next issue to see if any of those questions are going to be answered. So yeah, I'd give this book 4 stars out of 5. We then have Captain Marvel issue number 3. This is basically Star Trek, but with superheroes, as they're kind of Earth's first defense against alien attack. So yeah, I'm loving this. Something's clearly wrong with Captain Marvel, and I'm loving how they've tied that in to the first Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel. So that was really cool. I like that all the characters here get time, you know. So you get, what's her name? I always forget the lady with the green hair. Brand, isn't it? Something Brand. Her name's not at the beginning. Just when you want a name, it's never there. I'm sure she's Brand. But yeah, I'm liking all the characters in the book, and the story it's telling is a lot of fun. And like I say, if you like Star Trek but you'd like to see Star Trek but with superheroes, this is definitely the book for you. Really loving what they're doing with it, and I give Captain Marvel issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. We then have Superman Wonder Woman issue number 27. Not the strongest. It kind of sets things up for the next part of the story, and that's very much what this issue does. Art wise, there's like good moments, like I said, like this, which I feel, and it's really cool that this is like where they do it well. Like what's going on here is like a global threat, a global crisis. So you've got all these different heroes in here, unlike like Batman and Robin Eternal, where it's just the Gotham heroes. This you've got all of them. So I really like that. It very much, even though it's Superman, Wonder Woman, very much concentrates on Superman and his story, and kind of very much sets up his confrontation in the last part of this whole Vandal Savage story with Vandal Savage, and that's really what this serves as. There are some good moments throughout the book, but very much it is very much a setup issue, so I'm going to give it 3 stars out of 5. We then have the Astonishing Ant-Man issue number 6, which I really enjoyed, and I like the fact that for this issue we just dealt with Cassie. We didn't have Scott Lang Ant-Man in it at all. We just had his daughter Cassie, and it really fleshes out her character, kind of sees where she's at, that she was this young Avenger, and she kind of has come back, and she not got this life that she had. So I really liked what they did here. I thought it was very interesting. It was really cool. We get Hawkeye turning up here, which was cool. I really liked it, and where she ends up at the end of the issue, you kind of think she's making a big mistake, and you can kind of see she's got aspects of her father, because he often makes bad decisions, and she makes bad decisions here. So it's nice to see kind of they have that commonality that the daughter and the father have, like that, in that they have made decisions. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it 5 stars out of 5. We then had The Adventures of Archer and Armstrong, issue number 1. I really enjoyed this. I went into it not really sure, because I know Quantum and Woody I didn't like, and I wondered if it was going to be a book in that vein. What it is, like a more of a funny kind of book. The characters are much more likable than Quantum and Woody. Archer, yeah, Archer is like this guy, super straight guy. By straight guy I mean like you have your funny man and the straight guy, and he's the straight guy of the duo, who's got mad fight skills. And you've got Armstrong, who's this drunk, who's immortal, and he's got this bag that is like, it's kind of like the TARDIS in that it's bigger on the inside, and he's got into his bag looking for something, and he's lost. And so Archer has to go into the bag to rescue him, and there's like just a whole world in this bag, and it was just tremendous. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it, and really a different type of book than what I usually get from Valiant. So I really enjoyed this. Definitely be picking up the next issue and give it 5 stars out of 5. We then have Kanan, the last issue of Kanan, issue number 12. For the bulk of this issue, I was a bit disappointed, because it's just like a story set in like for Kanan, the modern day, and he and Ezra have to go on this mission. The end of the issue kind of pays off, and why we've had this story, and it kind of brings everything full circle. So by the end, it makes sense. But for the bulk of this issue, you're kind of wondering, well, this looks like a one and done, straightforward mission, so why are we following that here? I don't know. But by the end, it does make sense, so I'm going to give this 3 stars out of 5. We then have Robin, Son of Batman, issue number 10. No Patrick Gleason on this issue, which was sad, because I do really like him. I didn't like the art. For me, it was too cartoony. I don't know. Would Damien be a character that is kind of okay to let kids read? I don't know, because he's quite violent. He's this child assassin. Assassins kill people. To me, that doesn't sound like the kind of book you'd kind of want to give your son or daughter, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the violence in it isn't so bad, but I kind of think, I don't know. And the art is very cartoony for me. Like you'd find more in a younger adult's comic. As for the story, I did enjoy it. There was aspects I didn't quite get, like what's going on with Talia and Maya. I thought I didn't quite get all what's going on there. But the Damien stuff I did like. The last page, you've got like all these rays kind of coming up, and I'm kind of like, what's going on there? And I'm wondering, is this child going to turn out to be a clone of Damien? That would be interesting to see. But yeah, I enjoyed the story, not so much the art, so I'm going to give this 3 out of 5. We then got Imperium, issue number 14. This was another really great issue of this series. I really like the characters in this. In like, you can kind of look at all the different characters in it as heroes or villains from your different perspectives. So like you got Harada, who could be viewed as a terrorist, but at the same time his goals are pure. He sees his cause as he's got the right reasons for doing things, but just not always the right choices. So this issue we deal with Livewire and the team as they're trying to take down kind of Harada, but the plan keeps changing as kind of Livewire is having to adapt to what's going on. It was really interesting as like the story of this far. We've followed Harada's side of things and his team, and we've kind of saw them, and for this story we're on the opposite side. So it's really interesting seeing the whole story and seeing things from the opposite side and not really knowing what Harada's plan is here. So that was really interesting, and this just remains a really great book, and I give Imperium number 14 5 stars out of 5. We then have Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, issue number 5. This kicks off the brand new arc. Last issue we had, he woke up and he was in some kind of laboratory being held there. This issue we don't get to learn nothing about that. Instead we kind of go into the past, and we have Gilad, like the first time he kind of is persuaded to start a family, and him and his wife decide to have children, and then we have him coming home and his wife's been murdered, his whole village has been butchered, and they've took the pair and they've took his kids, kids, I say child, just the one kid, and he goes then on this quest to kind of get the child back. There's a lot of beats to this story that we've seen time and time again. Even in Valiant book we had like Bloodshot Reborn, where his wife, I don't know if they were married then, him and Magic, but the woman he loved was murdered and he buries her, and then he goes off to get revenge, and you kind of get the same scene in here with Gilad. So it's kind of, there's a lot of aspects of this story that we've seen before, but it's done really well, and it's very much really sets up the rest of the story really well, as you know where the rest of this is going to go. There's a great kind of line at the end, there's a great bit of dialogue that kind of ends this issue, as kind of Gilad has tracked down the people that killed his wife and kidnapped his son to this city, and he's like standing outside the city, and he says, you know, he's talking to himself. He says, "You think your high walls protect you? They lull you, make you fat and content, plump for slaughter. Enjoy your last meal, your final goblet of wine. The axe is coming for you." So yeah, I really loved that bit of dialogue at the end. Really got you excited, kind of, for the next issue to see Gilad. What's he going to do next? The other thing I really liked about this issue, we had on art one Jose Rip on art, and he did Clone, and I loved that series Clone, and I haven't seen him on too many things since then. So I was really pleased to see him back on a book, and because I always enjoyed his art with Clone. So this was really good, very much a setup, but I just. And like I say, we've seen this type of story time and again, but the way it was pulled off was tremendous, and I'd give this book 5 stars out of 5. So those are the books done. Now it's time to find out what are my comics of the week. Well, here we are now, find out what are my 5 comics of the week. So first up we have Power Man and Iron Fist, issue number 2 from Marvel Comics. And this was another great issue. I love the kind of interaction between the two main characters. I loved that. It kind of has that quality that Hawkeye had, of that being like, it's just a day in the life of these two guys. It's not like they're off on some mission, it's just a day in their life, and I loved that. There's a great moment in the book where they need to use Luke's car, and he in his head has this kind of flashback to why he hasn't got the regular car, and the kind of look on his face when we shoot back to him, and Iron Fist squeezing into the small car is just brilliant. I liked also like how everybody kind of after them, and how they're slowly putting things together as well, and the way book was worked out. I liked there's a moment with Spider-Woman and Spider-Gwen where they're kind of watching Power Man and Iron Fist fight, and fight these two villains, and kind of the way they're objectifying them is how you often see men objectify women, and it was interesting to have that kind of scene in there, kind of reversing that. which I thought was I enjoy. I found that funny. So yeah, overall, this was just a really fun book. I just really loving what they're doing with these two characters, and yeah, Power Man Iron Fist would have got a 5 out of 5 from me, and it's one of my comics of the week. So next up we have Superman issue number 50. So this concludes the whole Vandal Savage storyline. What I really liked about this is it wasn't one long issue of the two of them fighting, which I think would have got quite boring. But instead, Vandal Savage tries to kind of turn Superman to his side. So he uses this device that creates this virtual reality. So Superman, to show Superman the potential future. One future where if he teams with Savage and helps Savage, and the world that they can create together. And the other world of what would happen if Superman stops Savage, and what could happen in the future, and how the future could go if he doesn't let Savage win here. So I really like that. The first thing about that is we have multiple artists on the book, but they use some of the different artists on those virtual realities moments to kind of differentiate those moments from the rest of the book, which I really like that usage, and I thought was an intelligent use of multiple artists. The story as well I found really interesting, and I like that, like I said, I like that we went down the intellectual route rather than the route of two guys trying to beat the crap out of each other till one wins. I like that, like Superman, is kind of tempted, but then kind of comes back from that, and I like that. And at the end of the book, I really like we get a reconciliation between Superman and Lois Lane, and he's got his powers back now, and he's Superman again. And I just really liked how this book ended up, and I thought, while the journey here hasn't always been smooth, I felt the conclusion to this whole Vandal Savage story was really well done. Really enjoyed it, and I make Superman issue number 50 one of my comics of the week. So next up we have Doctor Who, the 8th Doctor Adventures, issue number 5. This is the final issue of this mini-series, and I really enjoyed this. When this first came out, the first 2 issues, I didn't quite enjoy. I thought they were okay, but they didn't really do much for me. But then from issue 3 onwards, this has been spectacular. This finishes it off masterfully. We get an interesting story where they end up in this place where basically they've found a technology, so when human beings die, they can kind of store their mind, and then they can make these bodies and put their mind into these blank bodies so that the person can live again. But the bodies that they're growing are evolving, and they have their own personalities and own kind of mind that is kind of been supplanted with these ones that they're putting in there. So it kind of becomes this whole kind of, do they have any kind of rights? And kind of the Doctor defends them, and then we get this really nice twist as the girl that's been travelling with him, Josephine Day, we kind of get who she really is and her backstory, and then we kind of get the explanation to how the Doctor got the list that we got in the first issue, and everything's tied up beautifully, and it all makes sense, and I loved it. I thought this was really well done as a whole. If you're a Doctor Who fan, I'd wait for the trade and get the whole, because I think as a trade it's going to be really good to have the whole story there, because everything in those first 2 issues makes sense at the end. Everything is worked out, and I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really good stuff. And the other thing as well that I didn't realise, but we're getting a 4th Doctor book as well, so I'm super excited to get that. We get like a little preview of the art here for that book. If you look there, you can see the Doctor and Sarah Jane. But yeah, so that was good news. But yeah, this was a really good conclusion. This is how you finish a story. It ties everything up really well done. And yeah, so Doctor Who 8th Doctor Adventures issue number 5 would definitely have got 5 out of 5, and it is one of my comics of the week. So next up we have Huck issue number 5, and I just continue to really enjoy everything that Mark Millar is writing at the moment. Raphael Albuquerque does a fantastic job on the art. Huck has been captured. Him and his mom are now been captured by this Soviet scientist who kind of wants to experiment on the both of them, and there's some really nice moments between Huck and his mother, and and also we get to see like the Professor kind of getting his revenge on all these people that doubted him and his research and everything, and kind of have been sticking it to him for the last few years. I really enjoyed that, and they really make this Professor a really diabolical character. I'm loving like the character of Huck though, and I like how like while his mama kind of, you could say they're like, it's kind of like he's like Superman in many ways, but what I like is they each have their own kind of differences. Her power is with touch, she can make people do what she wants them to do, and the thing with Huck is he can find anything. So I like that they've got their own separate abilities, and that's really driven home here. Really, another really good issue, and what's been a really superb series. And Huck issue number 5 would definitely got 5 out of 5 from me, and it's one of my comics of the week. So finally, we have the last comic of the week. It is Superman American Alien issue number 5. I absolutely love this series. It's without a shadow of a doubt the best Superman book on the shelves at the moment. It is superb. This issue, what the series has been, is basically jumping through Superman as he's growing up and showing different points in his life. This issue, he is still an intern at the Daily Planet, but he's taking his first steps to becoming Superman. He's got this suit that he's made. So we've got Batman's cape, which he got last issue, and he's got like this kind of bulletproof vest with an S on it and these goggles, and he's kind of trying to do one good deed a day to be a hero. So yeah, I love the story here. He's taking his first steps and kind of getting used to being a superhero. The art in here, Francis Manapul, is marvellous, as you'd expect from Manapul. He just does a fantastic job art-wise, and makes the book really special. And story-wise, Matt Landis just does a fantastic job, and kind of having Superman interact with Lex Luthor for the first time, and there's just a fantastic dialogue backwards and forth between Luthor and Superman, and kind of Luthor looks down on him, and then kind of the end of the issue where he picks his name and he becomes Superman. I really loved everything about this. If I was still doing pick of the week, this would have been my pick of the week. This was definitely the book I enjoyed the most this week, and what's been a truly great series. If you like Superman but you're not liking what they're doing with him in the New 52, definitely worth giving this series a go, because it's been really good. And yeah, this is definitely easily would have got 5 out of 5, and Superman American Alien issue number 5 is one of my comics of the week. So that's us done for another week. I will be back on Friday, Comic Haul Friday, sharing with you the books I've picked up this week. I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, if you enjoyed the video, please give me those beautiful thumbs up. Let me know you like what I'm doing. It only takes a second, but it means so much. So yeah, that's everything done. I hope you've all had a good week. I've been Jason. This has been my Comics of the Week. Keep reading. Bye for now.